United States of America election is happening now at this moment.
Hello, beautiful, beautiful North Carolina. Here's my only purpose in even being here today. Get out and vote. You know that.
We're ready to get out the vote. We're ready to win.
So today, with my colleague Demeka.
Hi, Saga.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. So today, me and my colleague Demeka will try to see the major 6 steps, or we'll try to highlight those major 6 stages that the American election will try to take place. Yes. So let's start with the first one, and we will continue.
So the primary one. So the election process starts from the primary election. The Republicans and the Democrats. Sometimes people run as individuals or as their own without representing any other parties. But majorly, the competition or the election is between the Democrats and the Republicans. So in the primaries, both the Democrats and the Republican Party chooses their candidates who will represent them for that year's election. So the primary is the vote that is done from state to state by party members to choose their candidates who will represent them on the coming elections.
And then after that, we'll follow the National Convention. So as you have said, there's 2 political parties that are really dominant in the states, which are the Republican and then the Democrats. So they both will have their own national conventions in which they will formally nominate their president, which will represent their party. So the Democrats will have their own president, and so does the Republicans. So after that process, the president itself will choose its mate that will run as a vice president throughout the election, which will be a very good foundation, because they have to choose the right person to represent that party.
Because they will take that person through the whole election campaign. So the president-elect, after the convention, they are called the president-elects. So the next thing that comes is the votes.
Important.
The main part.
Where you be on the edge.
Exactly. The next what comes are the votes. So usually we take the votes, or especially when it comes to elections, we consider the votes the people directly voting for the president or the leader of the country when it comes to the USA. But that's not how it works. So there is 2 types of vote casting methods that the US that they use. So one is the direct one, so the people's vote. So the people's vote is one person has 1 vote for their choice of candidates, which...
Pretty typical one.
The typical one. The second one, electoral votes or electoral college votes. So electoral college votes are fixed by the amount of population each state has. So in total, there are 538 electoral college votes. The amount of votes each state has is determined by the amount of populations that each state had. So big states like Texas, for example, have much more electoral college vote power than other smaller states.
So, yeah.
So the people's vote directly determines who wins the electoral vote. So any party who has the majority vote on the people's vote specific to the state will win that state's electoral vote.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah.
One of the other main difference between the 2 is the people's vote is state-controlled. So states regulate how people's vote. So it's specific to every state. Every state
has their own way.
Their own way how they manage people's vote. Electoral college vote is a national vote.
I see.
So that is defined as a national, that's taken as by the national level. People's vote is taken by state level. So states can pass their own regulations regarding how people's vote is conducted.
Exactly. So after this stage that you have said, I think what comes next is pretty much obvious. After that will come the Electoral College decision, which means after the vote is done, we need to decide who won. We need to decide who is the one that's going to be the president, basically, which will take us to the last 2 stages of this process. So as we all know that this process, the voting has over like 538 state's votes, and from those votes, at least that person running as a president of the state should be able to win 270 votes, which means more than half of that number, or maybe half of the number exactly. So if they're able to get 270 votes, congratulations.
You have won.
You have won, and you're officially the president of the United States.
Of America.
Exactly.
Perfect. Perfect. That's technical. That's more or less how it works. So finally, the result is sent to the Congress, where the Congress approves the results.
Yeah.
And
the oath will be done, and everything will just...
And come to this until January next year, it will be taken as a transitional period of the presidential cabinet. So the new elected president will move in, will slowly
get into work.
Yeah, taking tasks from the previous government.
So now I think we need to at least highlight, I would love to highlight about Republicans and Democrats, because most of the time people, when we think of Democrats, we'll be like, okay, blue. And the Republican will be red. I mean, that is their color that symbolizes the party. But at the same time, what is the difference that they have, especially in terms of like the grounds, the major grounds? So when we come to the Republican, the Democrats believe in high taxes. They believe that the people should be high taxed, especially those people that have high income. And then on the other side, the Republicans are like, okay, you know what, cool, we have to take it easy on the people. There's no such thing called high tax or stuff like that. They believe in low tax. So when we talk about the military side, which is very, very crucial for one state, the Republicans believe that we have to be able to secure our military. So they fund, okay, I mean like full capital letter fund,
yes.
their militaries.
US's military fund is bigger than the next 4 or 5 countries combined.
Can you believe it? That's mad. That's madness. Like, so the Democrats, on the other hand, they believe that it's okay. I mean, we have to fund, but it's not that much. So they have low funding when it comes to the military. And on the other side, they have a very, we can say, different policies when it comes to approaching the people and the states and the relations that they have with other countries. But those are a few to mention.
More or less, we can define Republicans being more of nationalists. And Democrats,
they're more, the Republicans
conservatives
are more like individual. They believe in the individual.
Individual rights,
and
the Republicans,
community.
Republicans tend to be more conservatives. So one of the things that makes this election very different from the others is both the Democrats, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are pushed to extremes. So there is extremists in the Republican side, and there's the extremists in the Democratic side.
But could you like, as you have mentioned earlier, like each state, like for example, right now, Donald Trump is representing the Republican, and then Kamala Harris is representing the Democrats. So what is the number telling us, especially when it comes to like,
who is leading?
Exactly, who's leading the states?
So to define that, one thing we have to say is mainly there are 3 types of states when it comes to the side that they take. So there's the Republican states or the red states, there's the blue states or the Democratic states, and there are swing states. So for example, California, Pennsylvania is a swing state. So a swing state means states that are not defined by one party.
They go to what they...
They might be Republican or they might be Democrats, and that is not determined until the election date comes. So for example, for Texas, it's a guaranteed red state. Texas is mostly Republican state. When we come to California, New York, it's a majorly blue state.
Democrats, yeah.
Those are the states that Kamala and Trump are
more focusing on.
Those are the states that are doing targeted campaigns. They're trying to get to the local people, and they're trying. Most of their main rallies, especially when it comes to the end of the election campaign, which ended Monday night, so last night, most of their focus were in the swing states.
Yeah, because they know that already Texas is already obviously for the Republicans. So if you're able to get that neutral state, you're able to more likely win.
Exactly. So those are the states that they are fighting toward. this election specifically was very interesting.
I know.
From the start,
it's just like you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly, so many things happened. Trump was trying to be assassinated more than 2 times.
Can you imagine? That has never happened, in fact.
Exactly. For the first time, a running presidential elect is replaced in the middle of the election process, which happened to Biden. This was one of the first elections where the primary debate was done way before or way earlier than it was usually done. And it was full of conspiracies and
unexpected things, events.
And the other interesting thing about this election was the people who got involved. For example, we have never seen Elon Musk endorsing any presidential.
That is true, that is true. He's more in the business, he's on the money side.
We've never seen Elon Musk, endorse any presidential elect.
But like, what do you think about it? Like, either ways, you at this point, especially at this point that America is, you have to be involved in such kind of things because things are changing, the economy is changing. So if you're not, because the politics will one way or another affect the economy, that will generally, directly and indirectly, again affect your business, you should be able to know that the politics will somehow drive everything.
Exactly.
So it's somehow like,
like the changing point for Elon Musk specifically was the day that Trump got shot for the first time. So there was this huge shift from technology owners, billionaires. There was this huge shift from mainly blue states moving to red states. For example, Elon Musk took most of his business, including Tesla, now Twitter, or formerly known as X, from California to Texas, from Silicon Valley to Texas. So they're moving their companies and money to mostly red states, as you said earlier, because the red states usually favors the Republicans and have different tax breaks. So the more or less the second or his personal reasons is Elon Musk believes that democracy will die if Democrats win, and they are very corrupted. So one of the major points that the Republican team raises has something to do with the swing states. So what's happening right now, or what the Republicans are claiming, especially, I'm sure you have heard and read so many news about immigration, unregistered voters, and
that is so true.
Yeah, so
that is so true. Yeah.
All this has to do with the Republicans believe that the Democrats are massively importing people to swing states, or swing states and majorly Republican states. When immigrants come, they usually vote for the party that's helped them settle down to the country.
Exactly. So, and that means that if you're able to get that large amount of people in the swing area, it means indirectly you're winning them over.
Exactly.
And that means you're being in control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's a smart move, actually.
That's what.
Well done.
That is what the Republicans are raising. So the Republicans are saying the Democrats are moving major migrants.
Migrants, okay.
They believe that the Republicans are moving major migrants to swing states to favor the vote to Democrats. So, for example, there are some swing states which have...
Is that even legal?
That's what...
I mean, at this point, you're like...
So, last night, on Monday, Elon Musk went on Joe Rogan. So, Joe Rogan is one of the biggest podcasters in the world, where his podcasters can influence policies. Trump's Vice President J.D. Vance went now Elon Musk. So they were having this conversation, and it's not legal, but it's not illegal.
You cannot even label it that it's...
Yes, you can say it's a foul play, but they cannot label it as illegal, but at least not yet. So these are some things that are influencing the swing states. So now, currently, Trump is leading to 52% and 48% generally. So it might change.
You never know. That's the interesting part about the U.S. election, I think. Exactly. And you know, when you see the process that they're using to make their voice heard and their policies understood by the people, it's just so fascinating, because at this moment, American citizens are only asking for stability, security, as any human being could ask. And also the price of living is just going skyrocket. People want to be able to purchase what they want, and they don't want to think about, because they are going to the extent where they're thinking about their electricity bill, the water bill. So they want to be able to survive as they used to before. So let's mention about, since we're concluding our stay, let's mention one of the means that they use to their campaigns is famous or celebrities. They use celebrities as a figure, which was so interesting.
So they called it endorsement.
Endorsement.
So
they did endorse.
The endorsement. So one other thing that we have to understand is the next election determines something for the whole world. So regarding foreign policies, we have seen the foreign policy of the Democrats in the past 4 years, and we have been through a lot. We cannot deny that. So what would the new elect do, the war in Gaza?
Ukraine and Russia.
What would they do regarding Ukraine and Russia? What would they change on their foreign policies? What would their policies look like regarding to Africa? So Trump's policy towards Africa, when the first time he led, was more of a business interaction. And
which is understandable.
Understandable. Also, he used Africa as a bargaining chip to get to China as well.
That's not understandable.
The democratic policies throughout Africa is usually determined by the party rather than the person who's sitting on the table.
That is true.
So they usually have planned out
systems that they want
to implement regarding economics, finance,
education,
human
health,
rights, and every other sectors. But
yes, I think here will come the actual fact that we need to accept, especially as an Africans, because as you have said, this election will not only forecast the future of Americans, but also the whole entire thing. But the balance might shift immediately. And as an Africans, and especially as a person that is trying to advocate African freedom, we have to be able to understand what is the policy that we are also, bringing to the table when we are having relations with different states. Because I think it's all about mental games, and it's all about knowing what you want and where you can get it and how you can get it. That's very, very important, I believe. So we never know who's going to win, but we have to be very smart on our policies as an Africans.
And how we approach it. So one thing we have to also see when we have this conversation is the power of dollar is failing. One of their biggest tasks is that. The influence of dollar is failing throughout the world.
I mean, didn't you see that coming?
We did, but this...
we thought it was going to be this soon.
By the new formation of BRICS and every other interconnection of countries to deal by their own currencies is a big threat for the United States of America.
So they have to make a smart move.
They have to make the smart move. So these are the kind of things that will incline the population to vote for Trump. Because one of the reasons in one of the debates that is coming when it comes to Kamala was she was in power for the past 4 years. She was a vice president. So every promise that she made, I will do this after I get to the office, but she was in the office for the past 4 years.
So what were you doing, Kamala?
What were you doing, Kamala? So if you see what I mean. The other thing is Trump, I don't know if Trump is a peculiar character. Trump is not from the political, he's not from the political world. He's an outsider when it comes to politics. So many of his characters are like the outsiders. So he communicates directly. He doesn't use diplomacy or political conversations to talk to people. He just says what's on his mind. The way he interacts with his opponents, people he likes, people he doesn't like, the way he deals...
He's just like out there.
Yeah, the way he deals with other countries. And most things he sees from a business point of view. So for the mass population, which feels has been tricked by the political system, an outsider is an answer.
Yeah, because he's always outside of that environment. He can understand the solution.
Like, for example, there's this phrase that he uses, draining the swamp. So, for example, he was offered Elon Musk to set up, he has asked Elon Musk to set up an overview team that views the spending of the U.S. government if he's elected. So,
I mean, do you think that, because now, you see, what I think is like, I cannot believe that the results are like 100% clean, you know? Because he's, like, Elon Musk is not a neutral person. He's still on the side of Donald Trump or the Republicans. So one way or another, that interest of wanting the Republicans to win will somehow be seen on the results. It's
yes,
just,
but this is after Trump wins. So
yeah,
it's one
exactly.
of the promise.
And then it's like, what if you be like, okay, the cost of living will be like much lower. What if you just do it on his favor, or like on the favor of Republicans? What if?
What's interesting about like the Republican in the Democrats state is, after all this promise is to be done after they win the election, so it wouldn't help them in any way. Let's see. So we've talked about the policies. We've talked about the election process. We have talked about their current political attires. Now let's talk about who is actually going to take the seat, if the Republicans win or if the Democrats win. So the Republican candidates are Donald Trump and J.D. Vance for the vice president.
And then, yeah.
The funny thing about J.D. Vance, he publicly claimed that he hated Trump for the past few years.
And so, what's happening?
He was a
what did we miss?
huge advocate that says Trump shouldn't lead this country. But their policies regarding economic policies, immigration policies, aligned down the line. And as I said, before the primary elections, the candidates are fighting for their own. They're fighting for, so they could be the president.
And then they would choose their vice president.
After the, yes, exactly. After the primary is done in the party, after the party chooses its candidate, every person under that party supports the candidate. I
know, like, I mean, in the political system, I do believe that there's no such thing that will last as a love or hate. You know, things change and shift, and that is part of the political system. And when we come to the Democrats, we all know that Joe Biden is now out of the whole election process, and Kamala Harris is now running as a president, representing the Democrats, and vice president, which will be her team, will be Tim Walz. And one of the things that really fascinated me in the campaigns that Kamala has been doing so far is that she is also using the Black community to support her. And over 45,000 people at the same time, Zoom, they created this Zoom meeting to support her, and they collected over $1.6 million fund for this campaign, for Kamala Harris' campaign. And let's also highlight the celebrities that they use, like, for example, Democrats, Cardi B from the art industry, Cardi B, John Legend, William, Eminem, like, I'm sorry. I know, I'm just stating my feelings.
The same thing. So one thing about American election process, the whole thing, it's a huge business as well. For example, campaign funds, they're in billions. This year's was more than the last year's.
Yes.
And there is Bates, which is currently running. So
and it's even legal.
It's legal. The whole population can bet on who will win. And other endorsements, ad campaigns,
concerts,
it's
music
a whole.
performance.
For example, the last biggest gathering Trump held was in the Madison Square Garden, where that speech happened about Puerto Rico, where they called it a floating garbage. And a whole other movement was started.
Yes.
So this campaign is bigger than we can imagine. And the stakes that it brings are bigger than we can imagine as well.
And it makes it even more interesting that because the people are now really ready to decide, because they don't want a joke, they had enough.
Exactly.
The people from, like, Americans they had enough. They want solution, they want something that's tangible. Exactly. They want to change their life and they want to get solution, period. Exactly. That's it.
When we even come to Trump, he had unexpected support, and unexpected endorsements from many celebrities. Joe Rogan was a surprise to many people. Even more than Elon Musk. The interview between Donald Trump and Joe Rogan was viewed more than 50 million times in less than 5 days.
Can you even imagine?
Exactly. So the influence that he has is obvious. So when we talk about endorsement policies, campaign strategies, election process, the population, the people's feeling, and what that turned out to be, I think we covered this.
Yeah. Let's conclude.
Let's conclude.
Yeah, I think this is going to be very exciting. It's going to be a turning point for the whole world. I do believe that. And so when we conclude our today's stay, we have to believe that we're all connected as a human beings, and also that the state of one country will affect us one way or another. So we should know and involve ourselves in what's happening globally. That's what we have to say, especially as an Africans, as a youth. We have to be able to put our own print in this sphere.
Exactly.
So yeah.
One final thing I want to add,
sure,
because you just said it now, is the influence they both have on the youth population. So, believe it or not, the campaign strategy Trump took was able to reach more users than the Kamala, because Trump was going on podcasters, young people, influencers.
That person is so interesting when he talks. You can't help but listen.
Even if you hate him, you sit down and listen to what he talked about, because he was talking.
I don't know. It's something about his hair.
Yes,
his voice.
The biggest people.
Yeah.
Kamala was using mainly mainstream.
That is true.
Talk shows like the Late Night Show. She
Oprah
was there on SNL. She was interviewed by Oprah as well. So more or less, what I want to say is the political attire of the United States of America, directly or indirectly, defines the political system or political condition of the world. Less today than it was before, I will agree. That is true. But it still does.
Yes, and we cannot deny it.
And the policies that they have, the international policies that they have, the relations they have with other countries, and the kind of projects they want to get involved with will define how that will go down. Either ways, we want to say that we want what's best for humanity, for Americans. It's not the Republicans or the Democrats. The people themselves know what's best for them. And we will see who's going to win and what the future of America and the whole world will be. Thank you so much for staying with us. And if you guys have any kind of comments or ideas to share on the topics that we have discussed, please feel free to share us on our short SMS 6121. And as in for our digital media, feel free to go below, share us, let us know what you guys think about the topics we brought. Thank you so much for watching again.